Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Product Podcast. My name is Moshe Mikanovsky, and I'm your host. We're again at DMZ, Canada's leading startup incubator, to talk with another startup founders. My guests today are Jason Ramsay, co-founder and CEO, and Daniel Martinovic, co-founder and CTO of Nodalli, an AI-powered networking platform helping job seekers connect faster and more effectively. Jason combines his background in investment banking, corporate banking, and risk management with deep-rooted ties to the university community derived from founding and leading several student organizations and nonprofits serving thousands of students. Daniel is a Canadian entrepreneur and technologist. He has previously founded multiple SaaS companies and held leadership roles in national tech conferences representing Canada on international entrepreneurship stages while building products that connect people and drive growth. Now, imagine you're a job seeker and you need to network with quality industry leaders to help you find your next position. What used to take 24 hours to create 100 outreaches now takes 2 minutes with Nodalli. Nodalli is a suite of AI agents that guarantees job seekers get coffee chats. Otherwise, Nodalli pays them $20. Working with educational institutions to facilitate thousands of coffee chats, Nodalli had already saved their students over 3,000 hours and $40,000. Nodalli is making big waves. This year, Daniel and Nodalli represented Canada as delegate at the Young Entrepreneurs Alliance at the G20 Summit in South Africa, won the DMZ Bootcamp pitch competition, and were featured speakers at Elevate festivals. Welcome to the podcast, Jason and Daniel.
Thank you for having us.
It's really great having you. And I think you just came back from South Africa from that event, right?
Yes.
So how do you feel?
How do I feel? In one word, jet lagged. I literally landed last night. You came a bit earlier, so I guess you got some more rest.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say it's more rest. When I took red-eye flights, it was maybe a 15 and a half hour and then a couple hour layover and finally back home. But
Where's your layover?
It was in New Jersey.
It's not a bad layover.
But do you also feel energized?
Yeah, I do. I was going to say that.
Energy.
I feel more energized. I think the perspective I've gained from G20 is like pretty wild. The people you meet there are just like, a lot of them are serial entrepreneurs. They built some amazing things, and it's really awesome kind of just like picking their brain and seeing what you can do on the international stage.
Not only that, but when you get to meet with sort of leaders around the world, and you pitch them your idea and your business, and you realize that there's strong demand, maybe even stronger than domestically. You realize that your business could be global and not just confined to Canada.
Yeah.
And like that passion is really fueling me more than the sleep right now.
Yeah. So who cares about the jet lag? The most important thing is about the startup and the excitement that you get from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. And we met at different places, Startup Fest, here at DMC during the bootcamp competition that you did a great pitch and you won that competition. Let's talk about Nodalli, because Nodalli is what we're here for. I want you to tell us a bit more. How do you save all of these hours for job seekers? How does it work?
Yeah, I think I can get started by talking about the genesis of Nodalli, how it kind of came to be in the first place. And it was when I was recruiting for investment banking, which is it's one of the most competitive fields in finance. And I was I was doing all these things right. I was leading this finance club. I had a 4.0, 2 part-time jobs. It's a very difficult process, but I had some hope because I was doing all these things right. But I had no time, and the biggest time sink for me was networking. It took about 25 hours a week to send 100 emails to these bankers for coffee chats. And then I was juggling all these things, and then my mom got sick, and I had to spend more time helping her out at home. And unfortunately, I didn't have the time to network. So I tried to automate a little bit of the process, and it actually worked for me. I was able to secure 150 coffee chats using some rudimentary software that I built, and then my job in investment banking. But what I built there was useful for me, but to make it a scalable solution to provide to millions of people, I needed someone that was very technically minded, very strong at building software, and then ended up meeting Daniel actually at a party, funny enough. And then we clicked on a number of levels. The business side was one of them.
When Jason explained it to me, I really understood the strength of it. Coming from like a tech background, a lot of my networking is kind of a little bit more informal. I meet people like hackathons, case competitions. I'm just in person at the office, and that's kind of my way of networking. I never really spent time sending out emails and setting up coffee chats. I think it's something a little bit more foreign for tech-minded people like software engineers, different engineers. So hearing this idea, I realized, hey, this could be a tool that I could use personally, and it would really help even my own networks. I kind of wanted to like build that and grow that with Jason. And honestly speaking, the idea is always the second biggest thing. I think the biggest thing is a team.
Right.
So I really love working with Jason, and that's probably the bigger reason why I'm working on Nodalli.
Yeah, and it worked out so well. Like we started facilitating thousands of coffee chats, and people started approaching us to use the thing, and it turns out those students were leaders of student groups, and they're like, "Oh, can we use this to provide to our student groups?" So we started partnering with student organizations and they started buying in a bulk, which eventually led to us working with Toronto Metropolitan University and saving the students over $40,000 to date. And this is us just getting started.
Yeah. And DMZ is part of the TMU, Toronto Metropolitan University. So I guess that's how you also got to DMZ and be incubated over here. So that's amazing. Tell me a bit about the technology. What does it? How does it do? I know there is a LinkedIn access and profile. Based on your profile, you are getting information. But then, how do you actually guarantee those coffee chats for people?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I would say really the LinkedIn is just a way to speed up things. You don't need to have a LinkedIn. You don't need a resume, but we do use that information to contextualize a profile of who you are, your long-term, short-term goals, your work experience, your location, target locations. This is just a way to speed up that process, but technically speaking, you don't need it. But we take that information, we build a profile of who you are, and then with that, we use it to then identify and gather contacts for you. Once that happens, we create unique emails between you and that person, kind of matching similarities in what you worked on, what you've done. And then from there, we send out emails. Once they do reply to you, we automatically book it into your calendar. So you automatically have coffee chats rolling in. And I think up to date, we have about a 14% reply rate. So it's a very high reply rate, simply because people love to kind of connect and kind of chat and maybe even be mentors. It isn't really a tool used to just sell. It's mostly to kind of like just connect with people. So people reply more often for that.
Right. So you're using AI agents to create that list of people that might be a good fit for someone. And then when you send them the email or whichever way you connect with them, do you tell them it's coming from an AI agent, or does it look like it's coming from that person?
Great question. It looks like it's coming from that person. So one thing we're working on right now is kind of learning and understanding your writing samples. So you can kind of upload documents, kind of understand how your writing style is. But on top of that, if you don't want to do that, we also have, for every single campaign you start, you can adjust your email style settings. So this could be how long or short the email is, how formal or casual the email is. Do you want to mention your skills and your highlights, or do you want to keep it a little bit more casual? So there's a lot of different settings you can apply to each of the campaigns before you send out the emails, but we do pass it through multiple quality checkers, so the email doesn't sound like some AI. And I think we all used AI to write emails, and one of the biggest and most annoying thing is always the long dashes. They use like 30 of them in one email. That's a couple things that we also manually filter out.
I see. Okay. So you mentioned 14% success rate at responded. What's the normal success rate for that? What's the normal conversion?
So when I was doing this manually, I was sending out hundreds to even thousands of emails in some months, every single month to bankers, and my reply rate was about 1 to 4%. And that was someone with skill. Like imagine a student who's in first year who has no introduction to networking, because there is no formal lessons on networking in school. You have to just do it through trial and error. These students are getting sub 1% reply rates. They're using templates. They're just swapping out the name and the job, and sometimes they're making mistakes, and that's leading to them damaging the reputation, and then also feeling discouraged. They use Nodalli, where they get access to deep research agents that could show them what a good coffee chat email looks like. So even if they were to disperse from using this technology, they'll learn how to write an email.
I see.
Themselves.
Okay, that's a good skill to write, to have. Now, in general, job seekers, they're coming and going, and some people look for a longer time and whatever it is. But I'm sure you're already being asked by people that are not just job seekers, like salespeople that want to reach out to people, or owners of small businesses that needs to reach out to people and stuff like that. Is that also
Yeah.
the target market?
Yeah, I'll let Jason jump into this, but we've been hearing this nonstop. We have SME and like founders that constantly want to use Nodalli, but I'll let Jason kind of jump into.
And we've worked with them.
Yeah,
we want to create huge impacts. We want to see how our technology can apply to different use cases. So we've tried to work with some of them, and it works. Like we've worked with businesses to use Nodalli to secure customers. We've worked with founders to help them find other founders and a whole other host of use cases. But I think one of the best benefits of being in the DMZ is them refining your go-to-market strategy. And one of the big things for us is, we want to do everything. We're very ambitious. We need to focus on, one or two things. They helped us learn that your ICP is kind of like, your ideal customer profile is kind of like going bowling. You have your bowling ball, which is a product. Then you have the first pin that you have to hit, and there's like 10 pins after them. We got to focus on the first one. So the first one's students and job seekers, because we have a competitive advantage in that. I was a leader in Canada's fastest growing and largest finance club, so I have ties to all the major universities in Canada, so we can easily add value to all the universities there.
And then they also becomes eventually your future clients for other type of usages.
Exactly.
So that could happen as well.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge point, because for example, like with my background in engineering, there's tools that you use in your engineering classes that once you graduate and once you're out of school and you need to kind of work with something similar, you always remember, hey, I used this tool in university, maybe I should try it again.
Right.
So Nodalli, being in that space early on in education, we can kind of have that tool be very familiar to students, and in the future when they want to kind of look back for something similar, they have Nodalli at kind of the top of their head.
It's an on strategy that several companies out there have done, that strategy that they go to the schools, to the universities, give their product for free even, and then the students are so versed with that technology, they just bring it to the next place. Law schools are doing that. Westlaw is doing that with law schools, and Westlaw is not cheap at all. It's very expensive for law companies. AutoCAD did that with the CAD designs.
Yes, MATLAB as well.
So it's a very known strategy. So that's great. I love that. So we talked a little about agents AI, agentic AI, and etc. Do you use any specific technology for that? Have you developed your own? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, I would say we do use a suite of different like LLMs that we communicate with for different API calls. One thing that we want to really build in-house is content monitoring and health monitoring. I think for that, our agent is very important, because we don't want to fatigue any type of contact. We don't want to have contacts be 10 people reply to message them, and they're like, wait, what's going on? Why do I have so many messages? So that's one thing that we're building right now. It's called EchoGuard. It is a very important system for us. And another one as well is the email writing samples. That's kind of like a RAG model where we kind of collect all the best emails that do get replies, and we're constantly training it so that more when you do get a hit, you do get a reply, we kind of train it and say, hey, this email worked. Why did it work? Is there a connection between that person and that contact that increased this success rate, or is it some other things like just the messaging in the email? So
very interesting. So you can actually test over there lots of different versions of emails and see what's successful, what not, and then train the model again and again to see this is working. So it's not just here is a template, use that, but rather it's learning over time what actually works, something that maybe no one have done before because they didn't have the capacity to do it. Right? So that's great. That's really cool. Let's talk a little about your journey building the company. You mentioned a little, where it comes from, but tell us a bit more about the journey itself, because founders' journey are always quite interesting. So we always love to hear about that.
Yeah. I already kind of touched on it in sort of my introduction, but it was interesting because I actually never intended for this to be a company or a startup. This was actually, I was actually quite selfish in the beginning. When I built this automation, it was mostly for myself because I just didn't have the time to network, and I wanted this job so bad I would do anything to secure it. So when I actually built the software, my friends were asking me, hey, can I use this thing? Can I use this thing? I'm like, no, it's mine. Then they're like, actually, I'll pay you $100 if I could use it for a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, well.
There is value there.
There's value there. So let them use it. And then they started securing coffee chats and jobs. And then they had student organizations that they wanted to give it to. So they're like, hey, can I just use it for the students that I work with? And then I'm like, fine, you can use it. And then when I realized that the opportunity was growing and it was actually a large one, I'm like, okay, we have to refine the technology to make the infrastructure scalable. And I just happened to bump into Daniel at that exact moment when I really needed to work with him.
Yeah.
And then kind of fast forwarding to now at the G20 summit, we realized that we already were thinking big. We thought we were going to revolutionize the way we network in North America, but we realized that the problems that nascent stage job seekers are facing are widespread across the globe, and that there's international demand. So now we actually expanded our vision, and we're thinking even bigger now, which I didn't think would be possible.
So you really had a validation there early on, even without looking for the validation, which is pretty cool. Many founders, they need to do the validation in order to see that there is a business there is value, and you had it like reversed almost. When you realize, there is something there could be a business there.
Well, I think it advocates for the case that you should just solve your own problems, and instead of looking for a problem specifically to solve.
It's true, but even then, it might be just your own problem. Here you saw that other people were willing to pay you money to solve the same problem for themselves.
Right.
So that's a great validation there. And the product is not priced it's not that expensive to use, less than $100 that they were willing to pay you for. We actually mentioned earlier how if you don't create the coffee chats, you pay back $20, which is the price of a month, right?
On top of
it. So you get refunded, and then you're making money.
Okay.
You're making money.
Okay. I'll make that clear.
Okay, so I'm sure it's a good warranty that I'm sure, based on what you were saying, you didn't really have to use at all or anything.
No, we actually never had to fulfill that promise because it's always generated coffee chats.
So you already mentioned how DMZ helped you in the process. Is there anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, especially for the audience, if any young founders are listening, I can't stress this enough, and I'm very genuine when I say this. Where DMZ for me was a revolutionary experience, and it was a necessary one at that. I think I had a decent amount of entrepreneurial experience. I started a lot of student organizations, so they weren't for profit, and that taught me how to lead, how to manage, how to bring people together to obtain a specific outcome. But there's a lot of gaps in my knowledge that I needed to be filled if I wanted to know what it leads to being successful. When it came to go-to-market, fundraising, finding the sales process, which I didn't get training for when running student organizations, and the experts in residence like yourself getting access to you and the rest, the opportunities for pitching at demo day where the stakes are actually real. You have to train and prepare for it. Things like this are, the value of those things are inconceivable unless you actually go through it. So I think if you're going to do one thing, it had to be enter sort of this community, an accelerator, and it leads to a whole other host of benefits. And you went through DMZ as well. So
and to add, I would say if the DMZ didn't exist, I would not be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I'll quote that right now because the first kind of experience I got in entrepreneurship was back in 2019. That was when I was finishing up my schooling for computer engineering, and I got into the DMZ sandbox at the time. It was for my first startup called Vimto. What we did is we automated sales funnels for foreign companies that want to expand their products into North America. So they did import-export products, essentially like a procurement SaaS portal. Sounds destroyed that company. Absolutely killed it. But that really got me like a taste of, hey, working on things, working on products, solving real problems, and just finding the people that want to use those products. From there, I worked on my second startup called UCast, a two-facing marketplace that connected podcasters and advertisers. And then since then, been working on Nodalli with Jason. So I can confidently say that if the DMC didn't exist, I probably would just be working as some software engineer, software developer somewhere.
Amazing.
That would be a lot more boring.
Tell me one number one tip for other founders, because this is really, there is so many learning done when you are founding a company, multiple companies. So what will be your number one tip?
Okay, well, I would firstly echo that my number one tip out of everything that I've learned to do, if I can go back and tell little Jason to do one thing, it would definitely be join the accelerator, because it provides access to the community, and access to the community shows you get to learn through osmosis on what works and what doesn't work, and then you get to fast track the mistakes you make. And sometimes even you get to learn without even making the mistakes in total. So the community is one portion of it, and then the opportunities to develop a skill set and apply it is unattainable anywhere else. And in terms of developing that skill set, learning from people who have decades of experience in a very niche area to teach you how to do a very specific thing and then walk you through applying it is like you'd pay tens of thousands of dollars for that elsewhere.
So
and
don't do it alone.
Don't do it alone, particularly join accelerator, because I already mentioned that it's kind of a cop-out answer. But another important tip is not for everybody. You don't have to, but for me, finding a co-founder was very valuable. It's a very new experience. Don't do it alone.
On all ends, don't do it alone. Yeah. I think that's a great tip. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely the don't do it alone. There's a saying that my friend always tells me is, I would rather have a slice of a watermelon than a whole grape. And it just simply means that it's always better to build bigger with a team and have something for you over like hoarding a small solution that you can't scale. I think it's always better to work with like the right people. I think Jason is like a really good balance to how my work style is versus his. And we do complement each other in what we do. Doesn't matter what it is, like even if it's a highly technical solution, you don't want a team of just only engineers. You do want some business-minded people, and vice versa. If it's something that you think is only client-facing, customer-facing, and you think it's just a pure business play, it's good to have a technical person to kind of make your systems more efficient or work on different things or add different features to it. So I think it's very important to have a good balance with founders. And if you don't have that, a lot of times you're going to be spending way too much time learning something new that you don't need to, which you can kind of rely on a different person to like work on those things.
Amazing. I want to move to our next section in the podcast, and that's a section I really like. I hope you will like it too. This segment is about workshopping a little product challenge that you might have at the moment. So we know that it doesn't matter where we are, what stage of the organization, what stage of the product, there is always some challenges. And, in the beginning to build the product, to build an MVP, then to find product market fit, then to grow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's even more than that because everything could be, specific areas of that. So I just... would love to hear from you, what challenge you would like to talk about, and then let's do a bit of chat about that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So we just did a lot of pitching. We did a lot of securing of grant funding. In August alone, we secured over $35,000 in grants. And now we're sitting on like a nice pool that we can allocate to achieve some of our goals. But the key question we have to answer now is what is the optimal way to allocate these resources? Let's narrow down specifically to product, to accelerate development. You have so much wisdom in this area.
Well, I can try. I can only try. So let's see what we're coming up with. So in general, I would always, it doesn't matter what stage you are, I would always look at what is the vision and what is the strategy. So you have a vision in mind, and your vision, we already talked a little about it before, probably have changed it a bit even now after you came back from G20. And your vision might be bigger than what it is, etc. Or always see, is our vision still what it is or not? Let's first define that and make sure we are in the right direction of where we want to get. Then what is the strategy to get there? And we talked a little about that as well, the strategy to start with students versus going after other type of clients, right? Which seems to be the right strategy for you, even if you make the vision a bit bigger, right? And then I would usually do it on a quarterly basis, but you could do it faster than that. Analyze, like, is my vision still okay? And is my strategy still okay? Now, the strategy is also something about long-term and short-term. And the short-term is what is it that I need to do right now in order to be able to get there? You already have a product in place. You already have clients that are happy with that, etc. I would then see how do I make that, ironclad towards like product market fit. Do you feel you already have, and maybe that's a question for you. Do you feel you already have product market fit or not? Are there things there that still need to be done, etc. And product market fit is interesting because I use the word feel. because many founders actually say that they're feeling it versus they knowing they got product market fit. And usually it's when you don't have to push it to the market, but there is a pull from the market to use it. That's usually where it switched to product market fit. And then you start putting together things towards the growth. How do you grow this? So if you are not feeling yet that you have a product market fit, and we can talk a little more also about ways to assess that, then that's where I would put the effort on. Like really analyzing where the users are coming from, what is the value that they're getting, why not they come back, and why not they're telling other people, and therefore do we have a product market fit? So this will be the focus. If you do have product market fit, then it's about how can I identify more and more and more of those same people that have this product that's a good fit for them, so I can sell it to them. But then on the technical side, I might have to make it more scalable, whatever that is. Because sometimes, if it can support 100 people at the same time. It's not the same as if it can support 1,000 or a million people at the same time. It's very different type of scales. So maybe a question for you: where do you feel right now you are with product market?
I feel like we found it very early. As I mentioned, so you mentioned that first you find the fit, and then the next step is to penetrate the market deeper. And when I first sort of built the solution, people were already coming to me and handing me dollars to use it. So I felt like at that moment, like I was solving their problems. And since then, we've consistently solved the problem that they have, which is networking takes, it's hard, it's time consuming, and it's scary.
Okay.
And I feel like that's been solved.
Okay.
So now it's a matter of penetrating it deeper. and actually engaging in marketing efforts to make more people in that persona aware of the product.
So there is something more you can do even with the product, because even with that, you can look into the breakdown of users that are coming back to it and are using it on a regular basis. Now, with job searches, it could be a bit tricky, because once they found the job, they may not need it anymore. But it also depends how long they're looking for a job. Some people are looking for longer than others. So you still have that period of time. If someone is looking for 6 months or whatever it is, then they still, are they coming back and using it, etc. The conversion rate. So you can have all of these analytics about the data, and then look at those that are not coming back and try to see why those people that are coming back, what is unique about them that is different from the others, and then what is the one big value that you're providing them. Okay. You might already know that. It could be saving time, it could be saving money, it could be finding jobs faster, whatever that is. And then double down on this specific value that you're creating for them, because the more you are adding to the feature or changing in the feature, if it's saving time, so the more saving time features you're giving them, if it is conversion, so the more conversion you give them, that's what it is. So that's where, so the more they are happy with the product, the more they will start telling other people and promote you without even this marketing effort in it, right? And then things that people that don't come back, if they are specific, either they are of specific type, why they don't come back, so they don't value those things that other people do value. So okay, we're not after this type of people, right? And that will also refine your messages, but also it will refine what focus you put in your efforts in the product itself. Because if they don't value saving money, for example, then maybe there are other ways you can do it without that in mind. Okay. So that's usually how it's done. So past product market fit, it's not just about more marketing efforts and more sales efforts. It's also how can I drive more of what they like and less of what they don't like in the product.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, I like all those points. And I guess I do want to dig a little bit into that, but maybe a very quick kind of topic I wanted to kind of get your advice, or maybe like a question on. But during the G20, we met like a lot of people that want to use our solution, but they want to kind of embed a unique version of it in their system. So we met with one gentleman from Mexico, he has like a large chain of private universities and high schools.
Mm-hmm.
They want to kind of adopt some type of system of it.
Mm-hmm.
We met some people that are working on a recruitment platform for the government in India,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to grab certain pieces of our tools as well.
Interesting.
So, and even the Saudi government wants to kind of adopt some type of new ways to kind of embed networking for their students.
Mm-hmm.
Even in South Africa,
Mhm.
the University of South Africa, they have a huge population of students that are online learners, and a lot of them need to kind of find mentors and apprentice workshops to kind of build their own skills. So we see a lot of pull in those different directions where they want to use different pieces of our platform, or they want to kind of white label it, or any kind of solution where they want to grab a piece of it and use it.
Yeah.
And I guess my question would be, what do you suggest about that? Do you think we should kind of build a different team for that? Should we kind of just work very quickly and build something for them, or is it something that we shouldn't really focus too much on as well?
It's really interesting because this is almost like from B2C it become B2B, because now your clients are those institutions, and they will probably pay for that. Maybe they will have their clients pay for it or not. They will give it as a service to their students, etc. But for you, they are your clients. So that goes to that vision and strategy, because now it's a different strategy going into that vision, right? Whether you can get faster with that strategy to your vision, maybe that's the right place to go, because some people pivot to B2B or B2C based on their strategy and how fast they can get to the vision. Now, whether you want to do it in parallel or not, that's up to your capacity to do that. I would first do maybe a validation of that. Not so much from the idea makes a lot of sense because they're approaching you and they're asking you for that, but more that it's actually working for them. They're willing to pay for it. They're willing to put the time to integrate it into their system. All of those steps might be taking time for them, time and money for them, that they may not think up front when they come and say, yes, we want that. Right. So that will be a good test to see that it actually happens. And you can use them as your design partners, etc. Another interesting way you can do it is also by exposing APIs. Because if you already build your APIs for your own system, then it's a matter of making them external, right. And then maybe they can use it as APIs, and then there is not a lot you have to build on top of that. Usually it's about security, it's about standards, but there are platforms for that. So you can use some platforms that actually allow you to expose APIs in a secure way that people can actually pay for them as well, because you need to know how much they used it, etc. So commercialization of that.
Do you know any platforms that we can look at right after this?
Not off the top of my head, but we can definitely. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of them for a number of years now that you can do those things. Even before you get there, you can also evaluate. Should you do it in-house or not? What's the best way to do that, right? But APIs could be one way to do it, especially if they want to have specific functionalities and not the entire package, right?
Yeah.
But then that means that they need on their end the developers that will consume those APIs.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's their commitment and how much they're willing to do it. So B2B is usually much longer. Usually it's a longer process. And with B2B, you have to take care not only about the end users, but also the people that pay for it, which is most of the time not the same people. So more complexity there.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, in 5 minutes, which directions to go. But I think that's what I would do, looking into vision, strategy. Does it fit the strategy? There is opportunity there. Maybe we'll do some testing for the opportunity based on those to see how much it works, how can it work technically, how can it work business-wise, and then based on successes over there, take it to the next stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So it would be allocating the resources to a pilot to see the visibility and the sort of drawbacks and pain points that are associated with.
Yeah, because you will learn a lot from that as well. What works, what not. Make sure that you understand also the differences between those organizations, because what might work for one organization in one country might not work for another organization within the same country or across the globe, right? So you might want to take care of that as well. Or maybe there will be a specific need that you will find as you go with that. Yeah, but it sounds like there is a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
too much.
Well, it's a good problem to have. I believe it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Amazing. So hopefully you have some points now to try or to think down and say, okay, maybe we'll try this or try that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Any other questions or points related to that discussion?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge now is just picking a path to focus on. I think the B2C route has great impact, as we've seen. A good solid amount of students on the wait list that we want to serve, but then also if we want to service these organizations, these student organizations that we're working with and universities, that's going to take a lot of our attention. So now it's identifying in what ways can we allocate resources to free up our time, and then also invest in a very specific sort of next step in our strategy that we could focus on in the longer term.
The same way that you build your own agents to solve this problem, or whichever technology you use for that to automate things, a lot of founders are automating a lot of things that they have to do, so they don't have to do all of it on their own, or they're not ready yet to hire a full-time person to do that. So you can also, but don't get into the point that every problem that you have and you build something, you spin a new company, because then
for sure.
it probably won't be a very focus, not a lot of focus there.
Yeah.
Did you ever work on any projects where you had to outsource sort of product development or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we do at rootquotient. People are outsourcing things to us as well. I mainly in the past I've done a lot of things where we built a specific, wherever I worked, we built a specific core technology. So let's say it was a web application, but we didn't have the know-how to build a native mobile. So we outsourced it to a native mobile team. And then it was much faster for us to get on top of things. These days, I would assume a lot of people are doing it with AI if they don't know yet how to do things with AI or to build AI models, etc. But in general, it's one of the ways to start where it's faster to get someone outside of the company to build something if they know how to do it already than to start hiring a whole team for that or to get people to learn that.
Have you ever outsourced overseas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where?
Yeah. I outsources many places, but I can say India, Vietnam, Israel, Eastern Europe, and in Eastern Europe it was a few places. Those are the main places where I outsourced.
For specifically development?
Yeah.
And why did you jump from place to place?
Oh, it was in different, my career is quite long, so it was in different places. So it depends on, sometimes it wasn't my decision, it was someone else's decision.
Right.
Sometimes it came, it was already there, established when I joined the company. When I had a decision myself to make, I would usually look into recommendations and do a trial project, like a prototype project or trial project is good. So it's very specific functionality, specific scope, and then you understand that there is a good fit when you work together. So that's a good way to do that.
I see. So for in our case, is there like a particular region that you'd recommend we outsource to, or are they all kind of?
It's a very individual. It's a very individual thing for what you prefer to do, right? So we work with at rootquotient. We work with many companies in North America, in Canada, in Europe, etc. In the MENA region as well. But at the end of the day, it's about them seeing that there is a good fit with us.
Right.
Right. So we create some great relationship with many of them. And one of the nice things we have is we have a CTO local over here in Toronto. So he's right here. So it's a good advantage for everyone here in Toronto. And sometimes you don't have that. So you have to do that remote work only.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But we're not here to speak about ourselves. We're just talking about you. That's great. Let's move to the last segment. And last segment is like quick fire questions, 5 questions.
Exciting.
So I will ask the same questions to both of you. You can decide who answer first. But it's a short answer, like 1 or 2 words, unless you really want to tell a story or whatever it is. So first one, what is your biggest inspiration?
2 words, Alex and Hormozy.
Alex and Hermosi.
Alex Hormozy.
Alex Hermosi.
Yeah, he's a business magnate in the States.
Okay. Yeah.
Documenting his journey to $1 billion.
Oh, so now I have to check him out.
Yeah.
I would say the Collison brothers. They're founders of Stripe, but I think they have a good dynamic of how they work, and they're very technical, founder focused.
Amazing. Core value.
Building communities.
And I think that Nodalli is actually, feeding into that, because it's not just about sending emails, and it's really creating a community at the end of the day. That's great. What about you, Daniel?
I would say sustainability. I know it's like a hot topic right now, but I think the reason I say this is if you build fast, sometimes you crash. So we want to build fast, but we also want to build sustainable, where we have the right people in our team, where we have the right systems, and we don't want to misuse any type of opportunity that we have.
Okay, amazing. This is an interesting one, especially from technology perspective. How do you see it? And here I'm injecting my question here to these rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
My apologies. Sustainability of AI in general, it takes a lot of resources, and now things are coming cheaper, etc. But it still takes a lot of energy from the world. What do you think about that?
I do think it's interesting. That's why I'm a big supporter of like nuclear energy, like modular reactors and stuff like that. I really hope we can push more towards that for energy consumption. But I do believe it's a technology that we have to develop, and it's something that we're just going to get better and better at.
Yeah.
So yes, it does use a lot of resources now, but I don't think that's a reason why we should shy away from it. Early cars, like early in the day, cars had barely any mileage. So now it's like you don't just stop using cars, right? So they just get better and better. And I think that's one of the things we have to work on.
That's great. I love that. Okay, this question is probably a silly question to ask. I love to ask it, but for you guys, to AI or not to AI?
I mean, hence the company that we're founding.
Yes,
it would be kind of ironic if we said not to AI. So
yeah,
I think,
but is there areas in life that you think that AI is way too much, or?
I think over usage of AI can impede one's critical thinking. That's something I'm slightly afraid of.
Okay.
Yeah, and to echo, I think I'm for AI. I think it's something that we need to develop, but I do at the same time think we need to not put too much biases into it. Make sure it's ethical and everyone can use it fairly, and it's not just something that people use nonstop, day in day out. It should be something that you use for like a higher skill, higher purpose.
I always have follow-up questions for you after your answers, because then I'm thinking about how do you apply ethical and non-biases in your models.
Yeah, I would say that's a bit hard. It's a bit tricky. Like right now, the only way we could do that technically is kind of having a human touch to it. So where we kind of prune through the replies that did get accepted or did get a reply to. Those are obviously the emails that we put back in to say, hey, these are successful emails. Keep using something similar. But to be honest, for us, it's not really an issue, because the emails are just kind of speaking on your own experience and that person's experience, and you connect kind of the similarities.
What I'm thinking is more about, if you're finding me 100 people to connect with, is there a bias towards what those people are or who they are?
Yes.
I mean, there should be a bias, because it should be a good fit to me.
Yeah.
Bias should be about my profile.
Yes.
But then the question is, does it really matter if there is like 50% of them are men and 50% are women? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think
maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for us right now, like it doesn't really matter, because what we do is, because of our EchoGuard, we have a limited amount of contacts for like different companies, roles, etc. We don't want you just to only apply, like for example, let's say you're a designer. We don't want all your 100 contacts to only be designers. It should be like creative directors. It should be different people.
Right.
It should be different points of contacts that you would potentially meet in your career path. But that being said, I do fully understand the question where, let's say you want a certain amount of men or females or different, like, let's say sustainabilities, but that's not something that we focus on, to be fair.
It's an interesting question to ask. I'm not sure what the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Mainly also because some people might prefer to speak with the same gender or with the opposite gender or whatever it is. And maybe gender has nothing to do with that. So I'm just kind of talking about gender because it's the obvious one.
It's the easiest one to like kind of...
Yeah, but it's not the only one.
Yeah, 100%. It is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
We don't have the answer to that just yet.
Well, maybe it will come up one day.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Proudest moment.
Okay.
Proudest moment for me was launching Investa Insights, which is currently Canada's largest student-run investment club. When I didn't have much finance experience, I was only in my second year of university. didn't take any finance courses, and several people told me that it wouldn't be possible. Why would people follow you in starting a finance club with no finance background? But I was able to do it in regardless of that adversity.
Great. Very nice.
Yeah, I would say my proudest moment was probably back in 2019, end of 2019, 2020. It was the Ryerson Global Innovative Challenge. And that's where we basically did a case comp where we built a project to adapt it to Toronto market. And then from there, we won that initial round. And we got a paid trip to go to Turkey to adapt it to the Turkish model, Turkish economy. That's when I finally realized, you know what, entrepreneurship is something. It isn't that hard. It's something that you can do if you really have the drive and the passion and the people around you. So I think that I would say is my proudest moment, because it really kind of just flipped a switch in my head where I can do this now.
Yeah, amazing. And last question, next goal.
That's cool. Create global impact. I think G20 really taught us that there's opportunity for us to help people around the world. So now it's up to us to execute that vision.
Yeah, and I think that in that specific sector, if you call it, of job seekers, it's really important. It's really, really important. We see how hard it is for people to find jobs.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to get easier. So whatever we can do to make it easier, I think it's a great goal.
Agreed.
Yeah, and to touch on that, I think there's a huge.
That's your next goal, or
no, just to add on to that, and then I'll talk about my goal. It's a huge issue because when we were in South Africa, we found out the youth unemployment, it's almost 60%. I think it was 64% youth unemployment. That's a huge number.
What is it over here? Or that's worldwide?
No, just in South Africa when we were there. I think in Canada it's 15 to 20%, something around there.
What is considered youth?
The youth is 15 to
24.
24, yeah.
29.
And I did have an interesting conversation with Alan. He's a gentleman from the South Africa Canadian Chamber of Commerce in South Africa. Something that we talked about is, you know what, if the companies are finding the right people, they're always going to kind of build a bigger workforce. They're going to bring in those people. They're going to pay for their payroll. But if they can't find them, then those jobs are left empty. They're usually people, if you have the right person or the right skills, they will create a position for you. It's not about the company just, hey, I have 10 jobs available. I'm only going to hire 10. If they find the right people, they will bring in more than 10 positions. Yeah. So that's what we realized, a huge issue is those students and those young people are not finding the right people to talk to create those positions. So that's kind of why our biggest goal for Nodalli is that connection piece. But I would say my next goal would just be systems when it comes to working with institutions. I think we need to kind of have a little bit better guidelines about how we approach that and not have it as abstract, so that when we do approach them, that we do work with them, we can implement our solutions very quickly, and we can just go from there and just provide the students with our solution as fast as possible.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. This was a great discussion. I wish you guys and Nodalli a lot of success. I do see the importance of that and the value in that. So I want to see where you're going.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. This was another episode of Beyond Product. Stay with us for more episodes in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.